guys, this is Simon from redlinemotorsport.co.uk. Today we have ACC Season 2, this is Round 2 at Brands Hatch. This is Tier 1, we've got 5 tiers in total. We have Nico who's streaming and commentating Tier 2 on our YouTube channel. And we've got myself and Ryan commentating on Tier 1. So hello Ryan.
Hey guys, it's nice to be back. It's been a long 2 weeks since last commentating on this, but yeah, we had a good race at Monza, so let's hope we can have a really good race here tonight as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, to be honest, Monza, for the conditions, it was a very, very clean race, to be honest. So yeah, really good to see. But yeah, no, round 2 here at Brands Hatch. This is going to get interesting because it's not such a wide track. A lot of technical sections here. So yeah, lots of mistakes could happen. But fingers crossed we have a good race as well.
Yeah, just looking down the field as we get to the end of free practice, the Ferraris, the black and red Ferraris that were quite infamous at Monza with the pace that they had in qualifying in the race, are still heading up the front of the field in practice here at Brands Hatch. Some of the other drivers that we saw in Monza that did quite well, there was the Porsche of Kevin Saklari and Andrew Frankie as well, sitting down in about 9th and 14th place, and a few other faces. Some of the red line drivers, Chris Hooker, Vicky, sitting around 18th, 20th at the moment, but we know that qualifying the race is where it counts.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've just got just under 3 minutes 40 seconds left of practice. Then we've got 15 minutes qualifying. Today's a sprint race, so 60-minute race. No pit stop is required, though we might have a couple of people pitting depending on the weather conditions, because the weather is set to random. So it could either stay as it is now, it could rain, it could be a thunderstorm, who knows. This is ACC. So obviously we don't own the weather, do we?
It's also a British track, which increases the chance of rain tenfold, so that has to be taken into account.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll have to see how that goes. I mean, track conditions at the moment is it's cloudy, 19 degrees. Track temp's 24 degrees at the moment, so it's showing pretty clear for the rest of practice. So we'll see what happens when we go over to qualify in a minute.
Yeah, there was apparently rain earlier in the week on the practice servers. Of course, the weather in the practice servers can vary between what we actually see in qualifying and the race, but it does give you an indication of what kind of weather is going to be around on the weekend. And there was rain for a while, so can't count the rain out right off the bat. It could show up at some point in the race. You know, maybe even in qualifying. We might have a wet qualifying and a dry race, you don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll see how that goes. So just bear with me a second, I am doing a few other things at the same time. So we'll try and get some of the cars on the track for you from that. So hopefully in a minute we should be at full swing during the qualifying. Just want to finalise a few things here. Ryan, you got any favourites at the moment? Who are you looking for to get the podiums tonight?
Well, after the impressive show that they had out at Monza, we cannot count out the Mercedes of Pasquale and Santoro. They had quite good races, even if towards the end of the race there was an incident that unfortunately meant one of them was not going to finish on the podium. Going to be interesting to see how the Porsches do this weekend in dry conditions, as far as we know. The Porsche does tend to favour these kind of damp but not quite wet conditions. It's had a lot of success in those kind of conditions, both in sim and in real racing. the Ferraris are looking good as well. They're the black and red Ferraris that we saw at Monza. They're looking very strong in practice as well. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll see the Aston Martins a bit further up the field, because they were complaining that Monza wasn't really the track for them. So there should be no excuses tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. Ryan, if it's right with you, you okay to look after the YouTube chat, if it's possible for you to do that as well? I'm just commentating over there as well quickly.
Can do.
So we've got 10 seconds left of practice. We should be at full swing now with the qualifying shortly. Just see how he's on track at the moment. Andre Frankie's out at the moment. There's only a couple more out at the moment, so just over 2 minutes of overtime, and then we should be underway for the qualifying.
Yeah, and if anyone in the chat does have any questions about the series, some of the drivers, us, commentators in particular, do shoot them away in the chat and we will answer them with as much information as we can give you on the question as we wait for the last few minutes of qualifying, or not qualifying, practice to finish now.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, guys, let us know if you know, you can hear us okay over the game and stuff, or the game's too quiet. I just want to try and get the volumes correct quite early on in the race if we can. So just let us know in the stream chat.
And with that, we are officially underway for qualifying.
We sure are, so.
So in the interest of equality, who is your money on then for qualifying in the race tonight, considering you've asked me?
Oh, it's going to be a tough one. I know that, like, you know, our esport guys have been, you know, practicing like hell here at Brands Hatch, trying to get the best out of the Astons. So quite possibly we could see Chris and James off there. Yeah, I mean, I know they are good to get the 122s. Even Samir as well. They can get down to the 122s for the qualifying. So yeah, we're gonna have to see. Otherwise, Andre Frankie's just doing really well for round one. He took pole there at Monza, so he's obviously very likely to get a podium today as well. But I guess it all depends, obviously, on lap one after the full formation lap. Depending on how the first couple of corners go, really. Hopefully we don't have too much carnage. Hopefully the weather stays like it is at the moment, which is cloudy now, 20 degrees Celsius at the moment. Track temp's about 24°C, so slowly getting up to optimal conditions.
Yeah, we saw one of the cleanest starts I've ever seen at a Monza race 2 weeks ago, so I'm hoping for something very similar here, although this is a very different type of first corner that we have here at Brands Hatch, so
absolutely.
that will throw a lot of cats into the bag, but hopefully we can have a fairly clean start here today. Just a name I thought I would throw in there for someone who could have a good performance tonight. Marcel Pfister
yes.
was very competitive in the last few races of last season's Porsche Cup Championship. It was only through a couple of mistakes midway through the race that he lost the chance to win either of the last two races. So he's someone to keep an eye out for, because he does have a lot of pace in the number 87 black and gold Porsche. So don't count him out. He's had very similar pace to James Parker throughout last season in the Porsche Cup, and had very similar pace to him at Monza as well. So it's definitely someone to keep your eye on.
So yeah, we just got the first lap cut set by Muia. He's just managed to get a 1:23.1, so he's the first to go across the line. Mike Noble's just come in for second place for 1:23.5. Steve Strader just behind with a 1:23.8. So should start to see some quicker lap times as we come down to the last sort of couple of minutes of the qualifying. Hopefully we should start to see a few people break in the 1:22s. So, as you were saying about Marcel, he's currently lap time earns 1:24.2, so hopefully he might find a bit more pace in that car after a couple more laps.
Yeah, one of the interesting, or rather more important things, is that you have to get into a rhythm around this track. I mean, you have to do that with any track, but this track, it is so important to be comfortable in the car, because there is so many difficult corners on this circuit. Definitely, I'd say one of the more challenging circuits that we have on the calendar, and definitely one of the more challenging circuits in the UK, due to just, there's not really many places around this circuit where you could say the track is flat. Almost all the corners are at some sort of awkward angle, which means that car setup is quite important. So having the right setup around here is, I would say, probably more important than most tracks.
Absolutely, yeah. So Amir's just managed to take pole at the moment. We're 1:22.9. With Santoro getting P2 at the moment.
And it's James Parker who has now taken it, yes, in the Aston Martin. So
he's now at 1:22.8. Yep, absolutely. So starting to see some quick times coming up already. So one thing I do know is James Parker just has a pretty good pace and consistency in his car. As long as he doesn't end up getting any damage earlier on, like he did in Monza, which obviously caused him a few problems.
Yeah, I saw that replay. It was after the race that I actually saw that replay. That was quite the accident. It's a shame we didn't catch it on the stream.
No, absolutely.
But it was quite the horror show on the main straight.
Yeah, it sure was.
Batanegro in the chat just pointing out that apparently in some of the other servers we have a rainy qualifying. So that has definitely spiced things up between tiers 1 through 5 if a couple of the tiers have got rainy qualifying.
Absolutely, yeah, because like I said, we're using exactly the same server settings right across all 5 tiers, so if we've got other tiers with rain in the qualifying, like I said, it's out of our hands. We just put in a few settings, you know, and it's just literally up to ACC to decide what weather it's going to give you.
It's just a random number generator at the end of the day that decides, does it want to punish you or does it want to give you a forgiving race?
Absolutely. Shame we haven't got snow. That would make it more interesting.
It reminds me of the Spa World Endurance race that we had earlier in the year. Something like that would be quite nice to replicate at some point in this.
Absolutely, yeah. So just bring up some timings for you guys. Have a quick look. So you see some sector times there. So Andre Frank's actually got the fastest sector time for sector 1. I'd say just under a tenth quicker than James Parker there, but James Parker's got the fastest second sector time there with 21.4. So that's put him almost 1/10 quicker, which is over 1/10 quicker than everyone else there, pretty much.
Yeah, we are about halfway into qualifying now, and we do have 4 people who are yet to set a time. Kevin Seclari, Daniele Pasquale, Gonzalez, and Martinez. So 2 drivers that were very high up in Monza have yet to set a time. So that is quite interesting. I'm not sure whether that's down to track limits invalidating times or whether they just haven't been able to get a comfortable lap together. And as I say that, Pasquale goes 8th, so he's finally managed to get a lap on the board.
Nice. So that's some pretty good going there. Oh, I don't know why that's a bit slow there, unfortunately.
And with that, we have a new provisional pole sitter. Moya has just gone faster in the 666 Ferrari. So he has knocked James Parker off of pole for now.
So that's pretty good going there, isn't it? 122.7. So that's just over 1/10 quicker than James Parker's best so far. With Samir's crept up there to P3 as well. He's now 122.9, so he's 2/10 off the pace at the moment. So I say James Parker's just come back out, so he should be finishing his warm-up lap now. So we should be starting a new lap shortly. So we'll stay with James Parker for a minute. So we'll probably get some on board with James actually. Oh. I'll say that as James has just jumped back to the pits. Typical, trying to set up two streams at the same time there to try and get some things. But anyway, there's Vicky anyway, so she's on a quick lap now, so we're on board with her quickly. See how she gets on there.
And as you say that, I'm just watching the end of Kevin Seclari's first flying lap, and he goes second on his first timed lap. And that is quite impressive.
Nice, and that's now pushed James Parker down to P3 now, so...
Yeah, very impressive there from Kevin, who, of course, finished third in Monza due to accidents between, I think it was Danilo Santoro and Paolo Moya, I think it was. Last time out at Monza, he managed to inherit a podium from that, so... looking good so far in qualifying. He is coming back out for another lap.
That's interesting. So if, yeah, I saw him he shot back to pit, so he's just come back out again. So we'll jump on board with him shortly and see if he does make an improvement there. So I'll just give you guys some times there again quickly. So Muri's managed to get a 122.4. He's almost
he's gone faster
just
again.
over 3/10 quicker there at the moment.
I did say the Ferrari, red and black Ferrari's looking good this weekend. He is the highest of the red and black outfit Ferraris, but he's definitely showing everyone the pace here so far in qualifying. That is a lot of time to make up as well, almost, well, 3.5 tenths for Kevin Seclari to make up to try and get pole position, and about 4 tenths for, well, James Parker and
yeah.
Pasquale as well if they want to challenge for a pole position. So that is a lot of pressure to make up, you know, almost half a second on a track like this. That is going to require some effort.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, some good racing so far. A good time set, should I say. So just on board with Kevin again, so one of the ACC devs here. He's decided to jump in and take part as a VIP. So I'm not sure why he decided to pick the BMW. It's not the fastest, I'll say.
I think a lot of it can come down to what you're comfortable with driving as well there.
Yeah, true. I mean, to be honest, Vicky last season, she was in the BMW and she struggled like hell for season 1. Obviously, the 2019 BOP's made a bit of a difference with the BMW now, being a bit more competitive. But yeah, compared to the likes of the Porsche, and the Ferrari and the Mercedes and stuff, I mean, they're pretty up there at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, and just looking, our Monza winner from 2 weeks ago, Andre Franchi, sitting 8th place at the moment, 5.5 tenths off pole position.
So we'll get some on-board footage again with James Parker. Oh, I'll say this as we're about to see him do a lap and he decides to come off the track. Every time.
Not having much luck with James, are you?
No, every time I think, oh, he's setting up to do a new lap, and then he goes and ruins it.
Is he in the comm box? Is he listening?
Yeah, I don't think he's in our comm box, is he?
No, he's in the esports channel.
Okay, that's probably one. Oh, well, we'll just have some on board with Andre Franchi, but he's got a bit of traffic in front at the moment, so I don't think he's going to improve. But currently he's P8 at the moment, just over 5 tenths off the pace.
And Kevin Seclari, sorry to cut you off there, Kevin Seclari has gone faster. He is now just under 3 tenths of a second behind Muia's lap time. And Manu in the other red and black Ferrari has also gone faster, as has Amir Hosseini, who has gone second, just 87 thousandths off of Muia's lap time.
That is pretty insane, isn't it?
So very interesting there. Of course, James Parker now 5th place. He is in the pit lane. He won't be setting another lap time. Neither will Pasquale. He is in the pit lane as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So as you can see, this coming to the end of qualifying now. So we've got 3 minutes of overtime. Hopefully these guys will make this laps count. So we'll see how we get on there. What I'll do is I'll just put 2 cameras off at the moment. The 2 guys that are out at the moment.
Oh, and Muia in the provisional pole car has just spun and ended up in the gravel trap, so he was on a fast lap, but that has now concluded. He is back in the pit lane, so he will not be going any faster. Kevin Seclari in 3rd place in the Porsche is on a flying lap, so...
He is, yeah. I've got him on the small screen at the moment, top right, guys, so just to keep an eye on him, see if he does make an improvement there. So also on board with Andre Franchi at the moment as well. Let's see if he can make an improvement. So it looks like it's about 5,
Kevin Seclari has lost it, and he has ended up in the barrier. That's going to be the end of his qualifying. So he is going to start 3rd at the moment. Christian Manu's back in the pit lane as well now, so I think that is qualifying over.
Absolutely. So there you go. That's the timings board there, guys. So Muia managed to get pole there. Assini's managed to get taped P2. So Clary's got P3 there. Manu's got P4. Chris Hokey's managed P5. James Parker P6. So yeah, it's good to see that James Parker and Chris, I mean, because they race together quite a lot. But to see them literally fighting for positions there, 5 and 6, they're doing pretty well. Just hope that they can obviously get their consistency and keep at it. Hopefully have a clean start to the race, and hopefully might see them in the podiums.
I have just typed it in chat there for anyone who wishes to give a response to that. Who do you think is going to win this race tonight, guys? Would be nice to get some answers from the audience, see who thinks who's the favourite tonight. It's going to be quite interesting. Amir Hosseini did not take part in the Monza race. He was a sign-out. before the race started, so we haven't been able to see. Well, we haven't seen his pace in the Mercedes, but qualifying second doesn't look too bad.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very interesting. But so we've got 3 of our guys up there at the moment in the top 10.
Yeah, Vicky missing out on a top 10 spot by about 50 thousandths of a second. So she is starting 11th. Marcel Pfister in 12th.
This is interesting. It's saying 24 drivers there a second. I'll tell you what, while we've got a bit of time there, guys, I'll just bring up the current standings so far. So that's from round 1 at the moment. So Andre Franke's taken pole, Pasquale took P2, and it's just shot off screen. Ryan, can I just ask you, on your broadcasting tool, do you see 24, 23 drivers on there?
I have 23, despite the fact we have 24.
Have you got 2 19s? Just like Selva's in the pits, if that's right. Patrick Selva. I've got 2 19s apparently. Samuel Ratz in one P19, and I've got Patrick Selva a P19 as well. But Patrick's in the pits according to my broadcasting tool, which is weird because Samuel Ratz is showing P20.
He is in the pit.
Interesting.
Yes, he is definitely in the pits because there is an empty grid slot next to Samuel Rat.
Yeah, I'm just seeing what's happening. Someone might say that we might have had a disconnect. Just see what's happening here. We might have.
That would be quite unfortunate if that is the case.
Yeah, I'll just see if there's. No, I don't think there's anything on the chat, is there? Let me just check the chat.
Within the in-game server chat, there is nothing
showing
mention.
up. Well, that's a shame then. If Selva's got a disconnect. See if he should be able to jump back in though. If he has got disconnected, he should be able to jump back in and reconnect.
Unfortunately, he only has just over 20 seconds to do so. So
yeah, I think he is in charge on the admin side, so he might restart the race again for the countdown. Double check. I don't think Selva is there at the moment, is he? Yeah, it's only showing 23 drivers at the moment.
And with that, they are off for the formation lap.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is a full formation lap, guys. They're all going to single file. As they get around to the second to last corner, they should start to slow down, bunch back up into double file again, and then the leader should take them around the final corner, up to the start-finish line, and the race should begin.
I have to say, if tonight's race is going to be anything like the one we had in the official Blood Pun series, this is going to be quite messy. But hopefully it won't be.
Don't say that. I mean, to be honest, like you said, as regarding Monza, I mean, you know, that was such a good race for Tier 1 to see Monza lap 1 so clean.
In the wet especially.
Exactly, it sure is.
So hopefully we can get something similar here in the dry. 27 degrees track temperature, so it is slightly warmer than it was in qualifying, even though the clouds are out.
Yeah.
So, no rain on the radar, but considering the fact that we do have clouds around for the race, means that I guess anything is possible. Track is optimum grip levels right now, so that will be quite handy for them to warm up their tyres. I don't think any of the front runners will be making pit stops in this race. Usually for a 60-minute sprint race like this, you don't usually see pit stops.
No, absolutely. So yeah, unfortunately we have only got 23 drivers in here, so I don't think Salva will be racing now, which is a bit of a shame to see. So
Right,
just,
and as I say, they start lining up 2 by 2 now.
yeah, so they should be keeping the same line they started off from the grid.
Green light, go, go, go.
And they're off. So Miro should have actually pulled back there, allowed the other car to come right beside him, rather than taking the safe race at Miro. But so far, I can see one's looking pretty good at the moment.
I can confirm we have all got through turn 1
Wow.
unscathed.
Yeah, we sure have. Yeah, so we've got both streams there, so the front and the back.
Oh,
of the,
but we do have an Aston off after the second corner.
yeah, that's a red Aston.
One of the red Aston cars. It was Costa in the number 15 Aston Martin.
Yeah, so literally just a slight off, but apart from that, it's been pretty clean. So the accident was recorded there. Car 617.
And up at the front, Amir Hosseini is not wasting any time with Paolo Muya. He was right on the back end of him, coming to the end of the back straight, so he is very, very eager to get past the Ferrari at the moment. Just looking down, I don't think...
Kevin.
I don't think there was... I don't think there was any lap 1 incidents between any drivers, or not any that I saw anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
So
Ronnie, once I've completed lap 1 here, because obviously we like to double check lap 1 while we're going through the stream to make sure it's as clean as possible. We will start to use cockpit views and stuff like that, so don't worry, it will happen. So that was lap 1 completed. So yeah, so actually it hasn't been too bad at all. It's been pretty clean, just one off. 2 accidents reported, but nothing really major, just car contact there. So yeah, so far so good. Been very, very clean race.
Yeah, it has been a very clean start, and can I just check, do you have Fabian Schwedberger on your timing board?
Yes, he's P18. Well, I think he might be another one that's disconnected then, because he's on my broadcast tool, but not...
I was just about to say, he's not on the in-sim leaderboard, although he is on the broadcasting tool.
So it makes me question whether he's got managed to get a disconnect or
I
something.
believe we did have 25 drivers in practice, so I think we might have lost Fabian just before the race. That is quite unfortunate. Yes, Ronnie, it is a 60-minute race tonight, because this is one of the sprint events. We do have the endurance events, which are 90 minutes, but this is one of the sprint races here tonight. And someone has just confirmed in the chat that Fabian said on Discord his internet has gone down, so he is not with us tonight.
Ah, such a shame. At least it was his end, rather than like a game disconnect or something. So it can be very frustrating, especially early on in the championship with our linear point system. It'll be very hard to get yourself being competitive in the points, unfortunately.
Yep, and some news up at the front is that Christian Manu has got past Kevin Seclari for 3rd place. So 2 Ferraris running in the top 3 now. And Moya and Hassini are starting to pull a gap of some sort to the chasing pack now.
Yeah, also James Parker's managed to get ahead of Chris here as well. Chris Hokie for P5. So I imagine these guys will be working together to hopefully secure a podium today.
Got the 2 cyan and white Mercedes in 7th and 8th at the moment. Remember, these were the 2 Mercedes that for the majority of the Monza race were out in front by, well, quite a margin, but it was towards the end of the race that they started having tyre troubles on both cars, so they're sitting 7th and 8th at the moment, so not too bad for them. Hasn't been many other changes. Marcel Pfister is down in 15th. He has definitely lost places off the start. So I believe, yes, he was 12th in qualifying, so he's lost about 3 places on the start.
That's interesting. Car 87 involved in an accident, as you know.
Oh, we have an Aston Martin off on the grass. And that is Chris Hooker's Aston Martin. The 998 was off on the grass in the 2nd sector, so he has lost some places now, I believe.
Yeah, we'll soon find once he goes over the line and see his position. So yeah, he is now down to P8. So shame for that to happen so early on, but he has got 54 minutes to try and rectify that.
Sorry to cut you off there, but Christian Manu, who was running 3rd, is now down into 11th. He slowed down on the main straight, so not sure if there was contact between himself and Kevin Seclari, but he has lost a large number of places.
Yeah, there's no accident in the highlights saying there's accidents reported, so yeah, no incidents there, so what's happened with him. But generally it's looking pretty good so far. I mean, as I said, we've had literally 2 contacts on lap 1, and apart from that it's been pretty clean. Just a couple of guys going off tracks of their own accord.
I just went back into the replays. Christian Manu spun coming out of the final corner and had a tap with the wall on the pit wall, so that is the reason why he has lost so many places, and he is now off on the grass again, so he has lost even more places now. He is down into, I think, 15th place now behind Marcel Pfister, so he is probably got damage onto that car because it was quite a whack he had with the pit wall.
Yeah, so yeah, straight to Chris Hoagie's now down to P11, with James Parker now up to P4.
And the gap at the front between the 2 leaders, Moya and Hassini, is still just under half a second, and these 2 have broken away now from the chasing pack. Kevin Seclari about 3.4 seconds off these 2. So they are starting to do what the 2 Mercedes did at Monza, which is clear away at the front before anyone can challenge you.
So I've seen we've got a train of Aston Martins there from P8 to P11. There's 4 Astons on the screen at the top corner. But yeah, nice mixture of cars at the moment at the top 5.
Yeah, we've got quite a good spread of cars throughout the field, across all of the 2s really. There's no one car that seems to absolutely dominate the numbers. We know that the Aston Martin is the most popular car across all the tiers, but it doesn't dominate in terms of numbers in any particular tier, so that's quite nice to see.
Absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot of action going on right across the grid at the moment. There's lots of cars bunched up together, so we should start to see some overtakes, because a lot of guys in sort of like 0.4, 0.5 seconds off each other. So they're all waiting for someone to make a small mistake, as looks like...
Shooter 80 just asking, what is the leader's pace? The leaders are setting 123.6, 123.3 for Amir Hosseini. So low to mid 123s for the leaders. Kevin Siclaria 124.0, so the leader's significantly quicker than the chasing pack right now, and that is why they have created such a big gap after just under 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? So, yeah. Yeah, so Ferrari is a fair bit back there, isn't he? 3.6 seconds off the pace.
And the two white and cyan Mercs in 5th and 6th now, profiting from other people's mistakes.
It looks like Samuel Ratz has had an off as well, by the looks of it. There's no accident, it was just a case he went off. Steve Strado currently P10. That says he's following a train of Aston Martins at the moment.
I've just noticed that Mike Noble is down in 20th. He qualified 14th, so he's had an incident of some sort.
Yeah, because he was sort of almost up to like sort of P9, wasn't he, at some point, and then he's dropped down to P20. So I don't know what's happened there. So I don't know if there was anything going on between. There wasn't really anything happening with Samuel Ratz, because Samuel Ratz come off by himself. So must have happened a little bit earlier on there with Mike Noble.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on the leaders. There is about 0.3 of a second between Muya and Hosseini at the moment. Hosseini keeping pace with the Ferrari in front really well. He's all over the back end of him coming into the corners, but just doesn't look like he's got enough pace to send one down the inside on any of these corners. Of course, more difficult to overtake here at Brands Hatch than it was at Monza. Not impossible though. The track is wide enough for two cars, but it's going to be a lot more difficult than it would have been at Monza. The gap now between the top 2 and 3rd place is 4.5 seconds. Lapping about 0.7 a lap quicker than 3rd place. James Parker in 4th, just over half a second behind Kevin Siclari, so he's going to be looking to close that slightly more and put a pass on for 3rd.
Absolutely, yeah. So just on board with Marcel Bifista and Christian Wheel at the moment. He's having a bit of a good battle going on between the two Porsches. So we've got quite a few guys at the moment, all sort of around the sort of 0.4, 0.5 seconds right across the grid at the moment. So we might have to jump over to try and capture some overtakes shortly. But so far so good. It was pretty consistent right across the grid so far.
Yep, and just some information for you. Samuel Ratz is in the pit lane, so we know that he had some damage through an off-track, I believe it was, so he's in the pit lane. He is 2 laps down at the moment, so I believe he is getting repairs done to the car, but I will inform you if he is going to retire at some point.
Yeah, Santoro's closing the gap on Pasquale, his teammate. So 0.2 between them at the moment.
We saw this at Monza though as well, didn't we? That Santoro in the second half of the race, he had more pace than Pasquale, but I don't know whether it was a team order decision or, you know, whether he just didn't have the pace. You know, I certainly believe he did, but Santoro stuck behind Pasquale for pretty much the entire duration of the race. Wasn't very keen on getting past him, so not sure if that's team orders going on there between those two this time round as well, to keep Santoro behind Pasquale. But it'd be interesting to see how that develops.
Absolutely.
What I've noticed that is quite amusing is that we have Pasquale, Santoro and Andre Franchi all in a row, which was the exact order that they were in before Andre Franchi went and took the lead of the race 2 weeks ago in Monza. So if the two Mercedes are keen on the potential team order situation, we could see a repeat of what happened at Monza, but for 5th and 6th rather than 1st place.
Absolutely, yeah. So Mike Noble's trying to go for an overtake here, and as he has his brake and tuck back in behind there off of Paul Costa, P18.
We did have Christian Manu come into the pit lane a lap ago. He is now 2 laps down, but he has come back out onto the track in 20 seconds. Samuel Rat's still in the pit lane, now 5 laps down, I believe. So
you obviously took some big damage there then, or something, when he went off.
Yeah, definitely. I will keep you updated on how that one is going, but it is still very close between the leaders. Having said that, Kevin Siclari has picked up the pace a bit. He is lapping at the same pace as the leaders now. So with James Parker getting ever closer, he has now decided that it's time he gets a move on.
Absolutely, Mike Noble is trying everything he can to get past Costa. As he manages, looks like he tries to get the inside there, but doesn't have enough, unfortunately.
Oh, we have Andre Franchi. Sorry, Andre Franchi on the back of Santoro, looking really eager to get past. Santoro has actually made a mistake, which has meant that he's dropped away from Pasquale, about 1.3 seconds between those two now. So if Andre Franchi wants to get past Santoro and go after Pasquale, he's going to have to do it soon, or that gap is going to continue to grow.
Absolutely, so I'll keep the top screen at the moment on Noble, because he is putting the pressure on. He is one of the closest guys to get an overtake shortly. Saying that, we have got Christian Wheel trying to put the pressure on Chris Hokie here as well, with Marcel Pisfister also in the bronzy type Porsche behind.
James Parker has dropped to 1.4 seconds off the back of Kevin Siclari, so Kevin Siclari picking up his pace to get away from James Parker. So obvious response there, as he was feeling that his podium place under threat.
Yeah, we'll just jump back to the leader at the moment. So Miyu is doing pretty well so far, with Mazzini not too far behind, only just over 3 tenths off. but very consistent with their lap times at the moment. Both almost a 123.6. Both sort of getting the last lap there.
Yeah, just over 18 minutes into this race, and I mean, they're separated by almost nothing.
That's it.
So,
So yeah, top corner, Mike Noble did manage to get the pass there off of Coaster. So that was nicely done. So glad we kept that up to capture that.
Andre Franchi's still really close to the back of Santoro. Don't think he could quite find a way past just yet. Pasquale's starting to pull a gap now to his teammate, which Andre Franchi's not going to be too keen on letting him do.
No, so we've got lots of battles going on right across the field. It's very hard to sort of keep up here. So it looks like Christian Will has managed to get the pass on Chris Hokie there. So Marcel was looking to, when the camera catches up, quick. Marcel has also managed to get the inside there of Chris Hokie. So I don't know if Chris Hokie's got damage or not.
I don't know, but he's holding up the train behind him quite a bit, and it's Marcel Pfister on the inside, going to look for a way past him. Almost contact there between the Porsche and the Aston Martin, but I think Marcel Pfister is going to have the inside line coming into the first corner. He does. Chris Hülkenberg so much later, though, than the Porsche, and he manages to stay ahead for now.
So it makes you wonder if Chris has got some damage and if he's his pace is right down. Because his last lap 127, so the lap before that was a 123.8.
He's got to have some damage there. Well, maybe not damage, but a mistake for sure. So it's unfortunate for Chris. Had quite a good result at Monza, despite the poor qualifying that a lot of the Aston Martins had. Finished 7th, I believe, didn't he? Last time out in Monza, so.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, on a track that the Aston Martin would perform much better at, he is not having the luck at the moment. James Parker is now under
contact
half
there. So Chris Hokie's managed to has taken out Marcel Pfister.
And that is heavy damage to that Porsche.
That is, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to get a replay of that. Try and watch that back for you guys. So see what actually happened there.
So he's trying to go up the inside the same as he did on the previous lap.
Yeah, but it looked like Chris Hokie did make a bit of contact there and did send him off. So that's
yeah, Chris moved over.
That is such a shame to see that.
Slightly. That's very unfortunate because Marcel Pfister now
taking a lot of damage. Yeah, down to P90.
Damage like that, he's going to have to come into the pit lane to repair it, or he is going to have to drive an absolute monster of a car for the rest of this race.
Also, looks like there's another contact there with Santoro. Looks like he's gone off the track. I'm just trying to see who was the black car catch up.
That might be
Samir.
Yes, Ibrahimi.
Yes. So unfortunately, a couple of accidents now, we're all within the same lap, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can just get a look at how that accident played out. Oh, so Santoro went off onto the grass. Coming back on, he had slight contact with Andre Franchi, and, well, Ibrahimi had nowhere to go. unfortunately. Just innocent bystander in that accident. And Vicky actually took a slight bit of contact with Santoro's car as she came around the corner, obviously blind to the Mercedes that was parked on the exit. So Vicky has unfortunately taken a tiny knock onto the Aston Martin. Not too sure how much it'll affect the pace though.
It's such a shame there. Just to back to James Parker here. He's closing the gap, 0.2 off of Seclari at the moment. So we might get a pass with the pressure being piled on now.
Yeah, leader's pace is still mid 123s. The rest behind in either the low or mid 124s. The gap between Hosseini in second and Seclari in third is about 6.3 seconds. So they are still extending the gap at the front, and there is still just about half a second between the two.
Absolutely, yeah, they're keeping that pace well, aren't they? Still maintaining 123.5s. So yeah, doing pretty well at the moment. Mike Noble, he was down to P20, he's now up to P12, so he's slowly getting up the pack. Doing pretty well. We'll just jump back over to Kevin, one of the ACC devs here, see how he's doing. So P20 at the moment. Looks like he's just going for a Sunday drive.
Well, Marcel Pfister has come into the pit lane, and he has had work done on his car because he is back out onto the track, just coming through the first corner now. So he's had work done to that car. As to how much it's going to help him for the rest of the race, we don't know. Interesting to note that Samuel Retz is still in the pit lane. He is 11 laps down at this point.
So he's just sitting in the pits now, isn't he? So, I mean, the main thing is, I mean, if he's going to sit in the pits, you know, he's still going to be entitled to points at the end of the race, isn't he? You know, rather than just quitting.
James Parker still trying to hunt down Kevin Seclari, about half a second between those two at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of action going on between sort of P10 and P14 here at the moment. Quite a few cars bunched up at the moment as well. So Mike Noble looks like he might be getting a pass off the P11.
He's had quite an up and down first half of the race, hasn't he, Mike Noble? Qualified, I think it was around 14th, got up to about 12th, went down to 19th, is now back up into 12th. So
yeah, he's
had a bit of an up and down first half.
He has, but the main thing is he's getting himself back up there. So I mean, if he can finish in the top 10, you know, he's done pretty well there.
Oh, and Planiel trying to get past Vicky.
So he does get the inside
Vicky did
line.
pick up. Yeah,
Oh.
Vicky did pick up some damage. Ooh,
That was
bit
so
of a-
close.
that was very, very close to a horrible accident.
Yeah, no, I've got,
Fortunately, we kept it clean.
yeah, some very intensive racing going on between the three here. Between the jets.
Remember, Vicky did get caught up in the Santoro Ibrahimi accident. She did get a little knock onto her car, so the car may have lost some pace, which could explain why she is under pressure from quite a few cars. Mike Noble almost drifting through the first corner.
Yeah, as it looks like he's just about to get the inside line here, as he doesn't get the pass. So managed to get the pass on Vicky.
So Vicky losing 2 places in 2 corners, not going to be happy about that.
Absolutely. So yeah, some pretty good racing going on from Mike Noble here at the moment.
And I can inform you that Christian Manu's Ferrari is back into the pit lane. It was in for a brief spell earlier on in the race after he picked up some damage with contact with the pit wall. So he is back in. Not sure if he's repairing more damage, or if he's just going to do the same as Samuel Ratz and sit it out till the end, but he is back into the pits.
Yeah, Samir as well. I mean, I'm sure he got P8 in the qualifying. He's he had a bit of a knocked himself back with an incident earlier on in the race, and he's now got himself back to P13 so far. He's not doing too bad.
Vicky now down into 15th. She was in 10th at the start of the previous lap, so that Aston Martin has definitely lost pace, and I believe that will probably have come down to the contact that she picked up in Santoro's accident. So rather unfortunate there that Vicky's race being compromised by someone else's incident. I mean, you know, there was not much she could do about it. She came around the corner to a Mercedes parked on the side of the track where probably didn't expect it to be parked.
No,
So,
absolutely.
not much she could have done about that, as Martinez is coming up on the inside line to now put her down into 16th.
So this is interesting because from their strategy, from what I was reading earlier on, you know, they was hoping to have the pace in the second half of the race, but it seems at the moment they're sort of losing their pace. The only one that's really gaining so far is James Parker, who's holding it pretty well. He's been pretty consistent through his race to keep holding P4. You know, done pretty well. He started P6 from the qualifying, and he's managed to gain a couple of positions.
Yep, and up at the front, Pablo Moya's incredible work has not gone unrewarded. He has now got a 1 second gap to Hosseini, so Hosseini's starting to drop off slightly from the leader now. So all of Pablo Moya's hard work to not get unfazed by how close the Mercedes was to the back of him is now starting to be rewarded. He's going to hope for himself that he can start to stretch that out further than 1 second. But Kevin Seclari, 7 seconds behind Hosseini, is still under pressure from James Parker.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So it's all down to pretty much James now for the next 30 minutes to hopefully try and get that podium off of Seclari. But they're both been pretty consistent, and Seclari's not really been able to break under pressure by James.
Yeah, and of course, if Seclari can secure a third place here, and Daniela Pasquale doesn't finish any higher than they are right now, then I believe Kevin Seclari will take over the lead of the championship. So Kevin Seclari is going to want to hold on to that podium spot, so that'll leave him in a very good position in the championship come the end of this race.
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't know what's happened in the last couple of laps, but everyone's sort of spread out now. Not too much action going on. There's only literally between James Parker and Seclari at the moment, and
well, we've got Mike Nobles closing up on Daniel Planiol slightly. There's only about 7 tenths between those two, and Samir Ibrahimi is coming up behind Mike Nobles, so there will probably be a battle there within maybe not even a lap's time, as Samir Ibrahimi seems to be closing in to Mike Noble fairly quickly.
I'll have to jump on board on that for a minute to see what's going on there.
So interesting now as the tyres start to rubber in quite a bit, and tyre wear becomes quite important at this stage of the race and how you manage it. The leaders are setting mid 123s compared to the rest of the field setting low 24s or high 23s. So the two leaders not going as quick as they were earlier in the race compared to the rest of the field.
Absolutely. Although Mike Noble is trying to put the pressure on catching the guy in front, he is getting pressure from behind as well from Samir. So we could be in for a pretty good battle here. So I'll do a jump to this view for a moment, so you guys can get an interesting view of Mike Noble's car from front and rear.
So of course they have actually come up to the back of Chris Hookie's Aston Martin now. So this three-way is soon going to turn into a full-way battle now. Chris seeming to lose pace to these guys behind. He's lapping about half a second slower than the three behind him. So he's going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to protect his 9th place at the moment. And good to see that Marcel Pfister, despite the damage, quite heavy damage that he picked up with that contact with Chris Hooker, is still lapping, despite the fact he's 2 laps down. He is still out there, he is still setting laps, so that's nice to see, even if he is down in 21st place.
Absolutely, yeah. So Piano really wants to try and get past Chris Hokie because he is getting held up here, and Mike Noble is going to try and take the move.
It looks like he is... Is he going to have it done? Ooh, almost contact.
Change the camera there, yeah. But it looks like it has, yeah. So Mike Noble has managed...
Yeah, he has got through, and Sami Ibrahim, he's going to have a look now.
Oh, a little bit of contact there, but Sami Ibrahim has managed to get past. So unfortunately for Costa, he's managed to lose... Sorry, David Plianio, he's managed to lose 2 positions from those 2 turns, T1, T2. So some great racing from these guys.
Yeah, slight contact between the 2 Aston Martins. Don't think it's significant enough to warrant any investigation post-race, though. The move looked pretty much done with or without the contact, so yeah, don't think there's anything wrong with that. And Mike Noble is now trying to go around the outside of Chris Hooker, and I think he's got it done. Well, not quite. He did run onto the grass. Coming along the outside, and he's still not going to have it done, but Sami Ibrahim, he's now going to come onto the inside. They're 3 wide on a very narrow push of the track. They're going to go around the outside, but it's Mike Noble who's off onto the grass, and all the hard work he's done. He's got to do it all over again, and there's contact.
Oh no, that's absolutely got in there. So it looks like Chris Hokie got took out there, unfortunately.
Oh, it was looking
Maybe
so
that was
good.
a bit of karma from earlier on when he took out Marcel Pfister. Who knows?
Yeah, Mike Noble went wide, and of course that dropped him down a few places, and it was Planiel just clipped the rear of Chris Hooker. Spun him round. It's quite unfortunate there because there's great action going on there between them.
Absolutely, especially going 3 wide. That's pretty impressive here at Brands Hatch. Just want to say, Husini's managed to close the gap now, so he's now 0.4 seconds off the pace at the moment.
Yes, he is. He's managed to regain some pace a bit, so Muia is not in the clear just yet with 22 minutes to go. Husini's going to keep him honest all the way, it seems. And it could be that with tyres starting to wear now, that perhaps the Mercedes has been much kinder to its tyres than the Ferrari.
Absolutely. But yeah, anything can happen, you know, as we start to go into the final third of the race. Just a minute left to go to the final third.
Krasuka now under pressure from Julian Sorp after that accident. So picked up some slight damage when he rejoined the track. He did tap the wall a bit, so some slight damage on the front of that car. Not too sure how much it's going to affect him. But
Excuse me?
yeah, 14th place at the moment, and looking like he could be put down into 15th place as Julian Sorp looks to go up the inside, but I think Krasuka's got it covered.
He sure has, yeah.
Having said that, Julian Sorp is not giving up, and you can definitely tell that that Ferrari has more pace over the Aston Martin.
He sure has, hasn't he?
Yeah, just thought to mention Vicky now down into 19th place. She has definitely got damage that is affecting that car's pace at the moment. Last lap time was a 1:31, so there's probably a mistake in there somewhere as well. But yeah, significantly slower than what she was doing earlier in the race, and that's not just going to be down to tyre wear, that's going to be down to that contact earlier on as well that she had.
Absolutely, so just keep an eye on Mike Noble, because he's closing the gap there as well. And Richard James Parker, he's still 0.4, 0.5 off Seclar at the moment. So it looks like Sorps did manage to get the pass on Chris Oakey then.
And it's looking like quite an unfortunate race for Krasuka. He started quite well, qualified really well, but a mistake at the start of the race put him down into the mid-pack, and been involved in a couple of incidents today.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame to see, isn't it?
Unfortunately. And Kevin Seclari and James Parker are still very close together, and they are coming up to the back of Marcel Pfister, who is 2 laps down in 21st place. So if they get much closer to him, he's going to have to move out the way to let them by.
Yeah, Mike Noble's having a bit of action at the moment. He's trying to get past Piano in front, as also he's getting pressure from behind there.
I think if there's any perspective that would be the best to watch the race from this evening, it's got to be Mike Noble's car. He has had quite his fair share of action tonight.
He sure has, hasn't he?
Many different reasons.
Absolutely.
I think his
great racing going on here.
His lap graph is going to look quite interesting at the end of the race.
Yeah, I'd say so for sure. But he's not been done too bad. I mean, last lap 124.5. His best lap's a 124 dead almost. So, you know, he's being very consistent here, getting 124s most of the time. It just looks like that was Kevin off the track there in the BMW. So, what happened to Kevin there? I mean, it looks like he just made a mistake and had an off, and unfortunately we caught it.
Actually, I'm not too sure it was. I think, yeah, that was Sami Ibrahimi. He has disappeared off the timing screen.
That's interesting. I'm sure that was a BMW then, so that might have been Samir as well.
Yep, Samir Brahimi is, yeah, he's not on the timing board anymore. He was running in 9th place. So, if that is down to a disconnect or an incident where the car is in an undrivable state, that is quite unfortunate. I'm going to have a look in the replays and see if I can see anything in there.
Absolutely. Pretty much most of the action's going on here between Piano, Mike Noble, and David Martins. He's it looks like Mike Noble's managed to get. Oh no! Looks like a big accident there with these guys. We would just try and capture that back again. So you get understanding what's going on there. Tiny bit of contact there with Mike Noble on the Silver Aston. That is such a shame to see that. So all that effort from Mike Noble is now dropping down a couple of positions. Yeah, that was such a minute contact as well. Such a shame to see that. Now down to P15. So from P11 down to 15, that's 4 positions lost from that. So I bet he's kicking himself from that as he almost drifted around T1 there. Managing to capture the back end.
I have had a look through the replays. It was Samir Ibrahimi that went off. He went off straight into the wall, quite a heavy impact, so I am guessing that he has retired the car due to damage, so that is quite unfortunate to see.
He's not had a very good season so far, is he, Samir, unfortunately?
I can also confirm to you that Samuel Ratz, who was something like 22 laps down or something like that, has now retired. So he is no longer in the pit lane. He has retired for the night. But Christian Manu, who is 15 laps down, is still in the pit lane.
That's awesome. So James Parker in front. We've got the back marker now of Marcel Pfister in the bronzy coloured Porsche, which unfortunately he got took out earlier on. He was doing pretty well actually. He was up to about P9, I believe, wasn't it? P10, P9 earlier on. Got took out and took massive damage and ended up going into the pit. So unfortunately he's dropped to P20 from that. So let's jump back to the leader to see how these guys are doing, as they're starting to obviously capture more of the back markers now. So the race is starting to get more interesting between these two guys.
Yes, we had Moya and Hosseini were getting past Kevin, and they have just gone past Vicky at the moment. So the next set of cars that they have up the road is Ramos and Santoro to deal with.
It's a shame. Yeah, it looks like Mike Noble's in the pits. I don't know if he's retired himself, but he's in the pits at the moment. So Andre Frankie, we've not really spoke much of him this race actually. We did earlier on, but he's done pretty well so far. He's up to P6. He started about P10, I believe, wasn't it, from qualifying? So he's done pretty well to maintain his pace and keep hold of P6.
Yes, our Monza winner did start P10, so he's had a fairly quiet race. Got caught up in a slight incident with Santoro, but nothing that he'll have to worry about post-investigation for the race. So yeah, he's had quite a quiet race today, sitting in P6. It's going to be quite a decent result if he can hold on to that. About 2.4 seconds behind Pasquale. He was about 4.4 seconds behind him quite a while ago. I'm not sure if he's going to have the pace to close that gap before the end, but P6 will still be a good result for him today.
Absolutely, yeah. Unfortunately, James Parker, every time he gets close to Sakali, he seems to back off a bit. You know, he seems to have dropped down to about 0.2 and then he's back up to 0.5 with the gap between these two. So maybe he's biding his time for the last sort of 11 minutes. What I will do actually, just to excuse this, just want to see sort of the engine map and stuff he's running. So he is actually running engine map 1.
I do have some interesting news for you.
Yeah.
In the top right corner of my screen, I have the weather forecast for 5 minutes time, and it's rain.
Are you for real? Where do you get that information from?
For me, it's in the top right corner, because I have the garage, or return from garage perspective, so I can see as the track temperature, grip levels, and the weather, which is expected to change within the next 5 minutes.
Now that's going to mix things up. So if we do get rain for the last 5 minutes of the race, that is going to get interesting.
Remember, we don't know how accurate that weather forecast is, so we do have to take that with a pinch of salt. But while saying that, I think Amir Hosseini is about to take the lead of the race.
He is, yeah. So I got him on the top there. So it
was very, very minimal contact going between the two cars. So close. Hosseini has definitely got the pace over Moya at the moment. That is the closest he has come to taking the lead of the race through the course of the first 49 minutes and 30 seconds of this race.
That's absolutely phenomenal. Oh, has he just been sent off wide? There's contact there.
And that is quite unfortunate. He was looking to go around the outside of Moya there. Not too sure about that kind of move. Unfortunately, hasn't worked out for him. Like you said, slight contact there between the two cars, and he has lost time because of it.
Yeah, so that's going to have to be looked into, I think, because...
we've got contact between an Audi and a Mercedes. That was Ramos and Santoro. There was slight contact between those two in the final corner as well.
Yeah, I suppose this later on in the race, everyone's sort of struggling for grip now, aren't they? Grip levels and stuff.
Yep, as I've just witnessed, Kevin Stuck just passed Vicky for 17th place, so Vicky definitely struggling in that Aston for pace now.
So from that contact earlier with Miyu and Hosseini for P1 there, lost about 2.5 seconds from that. Just waiting for those boards to capture up. So a bit of a shame to see that because it gets sent off the track. So it looks like have Kevin Struck just ahead in the BMW here, so one of the back markers. So James Parker and Ciclari are going to try their best to try and get past Kevin. And you're right, it is actually starting to rain, so this is really going to mix things up, Ryan.
Well, we did say it's British weather and anything is possible. And it seems that Brands Hatch is not going to disappoint us, as James Parker is now looking to take third place.
He is trying his best there, isn't he? Oh, as it looks like the Ciclari has gone off track.
Yes, and he's hit the wall as well, so that's going to impact his performance. And yeah, it was quite a strange one actually there, but you can start to see rain droplets on the windshields of the cars now. A couple of people using wipers, so the rain is definitely here.
Yeah, just watching the replay back live for the guys to see what happens. So yeah, so Ciclari did go off track and obviously lost traction there and then sent him straight off into the wall. So that's giving James Parker a a podium there for the moment for P3.
Now the question is, with this rain that we have now got for the last 6 minutes and 45 seconds of the race, how many people are going to get caught out with this?
This is
And
yeah,
how hard
exactly, yeah.
is it going to come down is the real question, because
Absolutely, it's yeah, they definitely want to stay away from the green stuff, that's for sure, because as we just found out, it's very slippery. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I can't see it's going to really hammer it down too much. Not enough to really affect their tyres.
Well, the air temperature has dropped by 6 degrees in the last 2 minutes, and track temperature by 3 degrees, so the track is starting to feel it already.
That's it, yes. I'm just looking at the weather here. It's saying 10% rain, 10% wet, so might not be enough to affect their slicks too much. But it's definitely going to send a bit more caution for the last 5-6 minutes with the race. So people will start dropping their pace off, as we've seen with Muir is now down to a 125.5, where he's been pretty consistent with 123s majority of the race. So he's almost 2 seconds, or it's over 2 seconds off pace at the moment. So yeah, this is where James Parker could end up starting to close that gap now, because these guys do practice a lot in the rain as well. So this is where we could see maybe see even a P2 from James Parker if he plays his cards right.
Would be nice to see, but I think gap at the moment is 9 seconds between him and Hosseini in second place, so I think Hosseini's going to have to struggle a lot for James Parker to make up that time. Curbs are going to be interesting though, because now the track temperature has just dropped from optimum to fast and now to green, so the grit levels are starting to drop significantly now in the last few minutes.
Absolutely, yeah. So David Martinez just managed to get past Chris Hokie there. That was put into P12. So some great racing for these guys at the moment. Let's see what's going on. There's not really too much going on across the grid, is there really? The rest of it's pretty much spread out now. Yuri has pretty much got a good lead now, 3.3 seconds off of Hosseini. But unfortunately, as we saw earlier, there was contact there, so we'll have to look into that and see what happened, because Hosseini did try to make a pass, and there was contact, and then Hosseini did get sent off the track, which then lost him a few seconds. So we'll have to investigate that and see if there was unfair play there.
Yeah, I think even more than sending him off track, I think it's disrupted his rhythm a lot, because he hasn't been able to set, lap times of an equivalent pace to Moya for the last few laps, so it's quite unfortunate. But the battle for third place is not quite over yet, because Kevin Saklari, despite going off and having a meeting with the wall, is closing in on James Parker.
Now this could get interesting for the last 3 minutes of the race, but has he got enough in him to, or is he going to be brave enough to start riding those wet curbs and trying to get past James? So we know that James is, now that he's got the position, he's going to defend really hard, and he definitely wants to keep that now for the next 3 laps, I'd say, we've got of the race.
Yeah, and it seems to be the only close on-track battle at the moment. There is Vicky and Kevin battling for 17th place, only half a second between those two. They have been swapping places for the last couple of laps, so there's a slight battle there for 17th going on, but it looks like the main battle for the last just over 2 minutes of the race is going to be for third place here.
Yeah, I think you're right. So yeah, we've got some onboard view there with Kevin at the moment for P4, who's slowly closing that gap on James, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It looks like we've got 2 laps left of the race, unless James makes a mistake, which fingers crossed he doesn't. He should be holding on to his podium that he's worked so hard to get. So he's going to have to defend really well here and not take any risks.
Yeah, he's going to have to make sure that all that hard work doesn't get undone with the conditions we have at the moment. Just trying a bit too hard to defend, you know, it could unfortunately undo all that hard work, so he's going to have to be careful. But the same goes for Kevin Seclari. He wants that 3rd place back, but he's going to have to be careful that he doesn't overdo it too much. But he definitely looks like he has the pace on James Parker.
Give it all you can.
Absolutely.
We just received confirmation that the leader is on the final lap of the race, so looks like this is going to be it. If Kevin Seclari is going to make a move for 3rd, he has to do it on this lap.
Last lap responses, please no. Well, just giving you guys some of the action, you know, it's not really a case of sponsors.
Interesting thing is, this is exactly the type of conditions where the Porsche excels in this contact between Kevin and James Parker.
Oh no.
Oh.
Let's just re-watch that and see what's happened there.
I
we get a
think
better view.
Kevin Seclari he closed in on James Parker a lot quicker than he expected to. And I don't think he pulled out, you know, he didn't pull out quick enough to avoid the contact there. That's quite unfortunate. I was about to say this is the kind of conditions where the Porsche seems to excel in.
Oh, yeah, I've just seen that fact for the replay there, so that's really unfortunate to see that. So I bet James Parker's going to be absolutely kicking himself as he's now down to P6, with Andre Franchi now taking P5, Pasquale now up to P4, and Seclari taking P3.
Yeah, but it is Muia that crosses the line to win here at Brands Hatch. Hosseini about 2.4 seconds behind him across the line for 2nd place. Seclari will pick up 3rd, Pasquale 4th, and Franchi 5th is the top 5. Like you said, James Parker 6th place, unfortunately. Contact there on the last lap. Not the way that Kevin Seclari or James Parker would have liked that to end, unfortunately, and a shame to see.
Absolutely, that is such a shame to see. Especially on the final lap there, I bet James Parker's really kicked himself, saying what the hell happened. Yeah, another one unfortunately after the stewards are going to be working hard to investigate to see what we're going to do there.
Yeah, they're going to have quite a lot to look at this race. There's been quite a few incidents. I would imagine there will be decisions on for penalty points. Obviously, it's not my place to say who's at fault in what incident, but yeah, definitely some investigations to do post-race for the stewards.
Absolutely, yeah. So there we are. There's the current standings there, guys. So yeah, that was an absolute crazy race. So very unexpected, let's say, the last 6 minutes of the race to have rain. But then this is Great Britain, so it's expected.
The forecast doesn't lie.
Absolutely. So yeah, so thanks for coming along, guys. Been an awesome race. I will just print the standings up of last race, so you guys have a quick look to see the positions currently at the moment. So things are definitely going to get mixed up here with once we upload the results for Tier 1 drivers. Tier 2 was streamed on our YouTube channel, so just search Redline Motorsport on YouTube and you will find Tier 2's race, so hopefully they've had as a good race. We have had obviously 5 tiers run in total, and obviously the weather's been completely different across all 5 tiers from what we've heard, even though we've been using the same settings for all tiers. So it just goes to show that it's complete randomness in the ACC weather physics. But yeah, other than that, it's been an absolutely awesome race. Definitely well packed, and especially the last parts. Unfortunately, a couple of incidents near the end, but generally it's been a really good race to watch, and obviously commentate. So yeah, so thank you for Ryan as well for commentating with me. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, thank you guys for coming along and watching. Don't forget to obviously follow us. And obviously, if you're on to YouTube, don't forget to obviously follow us there, like, subscribe, you know, the usual sort of stuff. Otherwise, we will see you in 2 weeks' time for round 3. So yeah, it's bi-weekly championship, guys. Otherwise, yeah, see you soon. Thank you.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Yep, cheers.